had the big stimulus passing and a lot of people being very excited about that through the Senate. And obviously there's still a process to go on, but we had some major moves in the markets. The major indices absolutely were very explosive in multiple directions. You look over at the Dow had this incredible day, started up about 400 points, actually peaked out up around 600 points to the upside, only to cut that in half by the end of the session to finish up about 300 points. Still a really, really nice day, but did have that selling pressure from those highs. Now, the interesting trade, however, was what we were seeing going on in the Nasdaq yesterday. So the Nasdaq, and obviously we talk about this all the time, but it encompasses semiconductors and biotechnology and technology, of course, and some others, but those are the three biggies with the most influence. And the movement was extraordinary. It was started off in the red. Then we moved over into the green. We actually had a pretty decent move to the upside. And then the selling really started to pick up. And that's where things really started to come off. The wheels did come off. Down about 2.5% yesterday, 300 points or thereabouts. And it was really interesting because semiconductors absolutely getting smashed yesterday. They were down about 5.5% or so. You had the biotech as well getting hit pretty hard. Technology getting hit pretty hard. So across the board, you're talking about 2.5 or more percentage-wise to the downside. And that really was the story of the day. Although I would have to say energy just continues to be one of those stories that's been playing out. We've talked about it for a long time, but we've said, hey, look, this is not just a 2021 story. This really started to kick in November. That's when oil was trading around 38, 37, somewhere in that range. And then we just started to have this move to the upside that has not stopped. We have had pauses, we've had some pullbacks, but it really, for the most part, has not stopped. As a matter of fact, yesterday, pushing, didn't get there, but pushing towards those $70 area. And now you look towards today, I'll just jump forward for a second, and here we are trading underneath 65. So those are the kind of moves we've had there as well. So pretty interesting. We had volatility yesterday trading around 25.5, probably way too low given the kind of movement we're seeing, including the S&P 500. The moves that we are seeing are extraordinary. And I'm talking intraday again. I'm not talking just the bell. Where did it start? Where did it close? I'm talking about the crazy movements that we have had within the day itself. Obviously that Nasdaq example. So we did have a range, it was 24 to 28. We did have volume come down just a bit because Friday, I didn't get a chance to do this yesterday. So Friday we actually eclipsed over that 53 million contracts. It was 53.2 million contracts on Friday. We did slow up a little bit yesterday. Traded about 39.5 million contracts. The only two that actually got up and pierced through that million contract club. Back to the old days. This was Apple, this was Tesla, and NIO not too terribly far behind. So that's really a kind of a recap of yesterday. But today, really interesting to see how things are starting to play out because the Dow trading pretty well, but definitely lagging what we are seeing going on in the Nasdaq. And the Nasdaq just literally turned on a dime after all of that selling yesterday of all the high multiple and some of the other names that have absolutely screamed to the upside, the Zooms and so forth. There certainly was some selling pressure. Well, today we've got a little bit of reversal of that because we started off the day up about 280 on the Nasdaq. Then we were up about 300. Then we were up over 400. And we've had some pretty interesting movement. Matter of fact, last I looked, I think we were up over 450 on the Nasdaq, somewhere very close to that. What was lagging? It was some of the names that, or the sectors that had been some of the leadership. So to the upside. So financials dragging a little bit today. Energy dragging a little bit today. I mentioned what's been going on with crude, so that's certainly an influence. What's not dragging is take a look at the semiconductors. They were down 5.5% yesterday. They're up 5% today. Biotech was down close to 3% yesterday. It's up today. And then you just look across all these various names. So you see this big flip, and everybody who was saying that maybe ARK was getting attacked. Well, Kathy Woods was out yesterday and she talked about the idea that, hey, this is setting up actually very nicely. So, and certainly today's rebound speaks for itself after the confidence that she had yesterday in a market that didn't look all that great. So kudos to her with her conviction. There's no doubt about that. We are seeing 10-year get a little bit weaker, and with that weakness we're seeing some of those moves that we were talking about. Volatility was trading around 2450, 2460 most of the first part of the morning, but as we got closer to this 9:30 time, Then we started to get into the 23. So we've watched volatility start to get a little bit of pressure with this major movement that we are seeing to the upside so far. So let's jump right into it with some unusual. I will be on the halftime report today. Our Market Rebellion team is animals. After the halftime report, we're going to be doing cash flow portfolio. So there's just a lot going on today, and so we're going to hop real quick. NIO is the first one on my unusual. So NIO trading around 37.50, somewhere right in that range, about 8,000. Now they're buying a little bit of time on both not so much. On this first unusual, they're buying a little bit of time. They're going out to April 1st, so very, very rapidly into April, obviously. The 52.5s, that's a pretty decent jump from where we are right now. Doesn't mean it can't happen. And we are talking about the EV market in NIO, so it certainly could happen. So the 52.5 calls, they started buying about 73 cents. They bought them all the way up to about $1. And as I say, about 8,000 of those were trading. Now, the next one, these do expire this week, actually. Nvidia. So here we are yesterday, obviously March 8th. Here we are at March 9th. These expire on the 12th, so that's Friday. Stock, by the way, if you take a look at this, this is one of the great examples for yesterday and what's happening today. This stock peaked out around $612 not too many weeks ago. It hit $612 a share. It was $488 today when they started this buying of 8,100 of the March 12th expiring 500 strike calls. Not that far away from where it is. There is some premium there. They're paying about $4.40 all the way up to about $5.90 for these calls. 8,000 of those. So that's a pretty decent sized trade, a nice chunk of money that somebody put down looking for not just today's bounce, but maybe some more follow through over the next couple of days and a bounce. And you know what? None of us ever know. Each and every day we see all this crazy movement. We've been talking about it for a really long time. We've had volatile markets. And as I say, I continue to say, I think the implied volatility of the markets, the VIX right now, when we're talking about the S&P, is not quite right from the standpoint of with the movement we've had, it seems to me that this VIX ought to be a little bit higher. So that gives you a little bit of idea of what I'm doing. I'm buying a lot of calls. I have so many. This is going to be crazy today for the halftime report because the amount of trading that has occurred just since Friday is unbelievable. Anyway, folks, have a great day of trading. Knowledge is king. If you want to be in the derivatives markets, you do have to understand all of the mechanics and all of what works there, all the Greeks, as they say, and all the pricing. Very, very, it's not overly complex, but it is something you need to have an understanding of because it can be very confusing and you don't want to have a bad experience. So get educated. Folks, have a great day of trading. I'll see you tomorrow, or I will see you today at noon. And of course, we got the cash flow portfolio following that as well. So look forward to seeing you later on. Have a great day.